I hope you're all doing great. Today, I would like to invite you to our first episode of Fairmont Royal Media and Alliance Hub. This hub is created to connect consultants, partners, investors, landowners, and technology owners to create the global unity in the business environment. Now, coming back to the background of Fairmont Royal. Fairmont Royal was created in Asia in 2018. And the reason for that was because while I was working on my humanitarian mission in Asia, I faced challenges with international funding due to the corruption. So, based on all of those challenges, I kind of backed off from even pursuing to go for the international funding and waited. And one day, all of a sudden, I got the vision that I should set up my companies again. Now, I had closed down all of my companies from USA after I moved to Asia to work for humanity. So I committed to Divine to give my time, money, resources, knowledge, everything just for the sake of humanity and not go after creating companies to provide lots and lots of luxury for me or to get into this, corporate sector. Anyway, I thought 2018 was the time because I had been serving for over 10 years there. And yes, I was given lots of different projects. I connected a lot of armed forces projects and, tunnels and roads and infrastructures and theme parks and hospitality projects. And also at the same time, I set up the call centers for US consumers financial services in Asia and connected the data marketing call centers. Of course, they ran within our company and employability skills training centers, education centers, as well as the health training centers in partnership with the private hospitals. While doing that, all of a sudden, within 3 months or so, I received an offer to serve for UNSDG as a High Commissioner in Africa. Now, Africa was a territory I kind of always found interested while traveling from US to Africa. So I thought, why not take that opportunity? This was given to me from an organization based in US, and to do the training for each particular SDG. And anyway, I ended up moving to Africa, and while reaching there, I contacted the government officials, the development ministers, the finance ministers, so on and so forth, for different African countries, to see how we can work on UN SDGs together and create a connection between the government organizations and the corporates. To involve the youth, to have the economic security for the youth, to give them the jobs training and so on and so forth. And while doing that, I was requested to set up my companies in Africa. During that whole process, we were given a lot of projects. I don't even have the count of, I think it was over 400 to 500 projects during the time that I worked there. But I end up doing a lot of training for the government organizations, government universities, involving the youth who are going to be the grads. They were probably the last semester, and we set up the call centers there also to reach out to the Middle East and Asia and Africa calling centers to see how we can manage the data in a most transparent way and still help creating the global wealth or global trade. So these were some of the areas that I work on a lot in Africa. The most important project, which I am so humble about, was my incubator project. The way it works is that I would pick up or I get referral from the government or intelligence or armed forces or churches, because we signed an agreement with Caritas as well. I would get the youth and I would train them for 2 months, and the training would be once a week, 1 to 2 hours, depending on the assignment. And I would give them the assignment in every sector. So upon completing those assignments in each sector, they would realize what strength they have, what they're more passionate about. And I would sit with them after 2 months to see exactly which direction they would like to go to. And those are the ones we call our assistant consultants after the 2 months training. We found with the good ethics, or work ethics, those end up becoming our assistant consultant with stipend and internet and all those paid for. And we give them internal projects, internal working or small assignments just to see their work ethics and integrity and code of conduct. And those are the ones who would, after 6 months of this being an assistant consultant, becomes our paid consultant for 1 year. And eventually, after serving many clients through our company or our company clients, they would become our project partner, you see. So it's like creating a chain of human resource through smaller sector training at very low level, incubator level, not setting up any shop or industry or small industry or so on and so forth. But we did get a lot of industry projects, the dry port, the other port, and so on and so forth. So these were some of the achievements between Asia and Africa. I also registered the company in US just to now connect all the dots, between the US and the Africa and Asia and Middle Eastern countries, youth, so that we can avail good technology. We can get trained from international consultant, and the investors could be happy with his ROI based on covering all the areas or aspects of the project. So this was one of the reason I did those incubators. Yes, it was very tempting to bring in the investors to some of those projects in Africa where I knew that the projects were in debt and they could end up going to the banks. But I didn't take that route because I knew that investors' money is obviously hard-earned money, and we can't play around being in audits. This is the first lesson we learned. So I waited for the big investments before I implement them or involve them in the projects. And I worked on the software and the smaller areas of the projects. But basically, those are all the basics before you set up the small or the medium industry. So now I believe we're ready, and that's why a few years back we registered also the Fairmont Royal in USA, so that we can have transparency in every transaction. We can monitor the compliance and the good governance of every transaction that happens within the Asian company or the Africa company or the Middle East companies or any other region companies. We are also working on EU. We have a think tank consultancy contract that we were lucky to receive in 2023, and that carries a lot of weight and a lot of very good consultants and technology owners, obviously, which we're looking forward to work on as soon as our investments are totally in good to go situation. And during that whole process of 10 to 12 years, besides my corporate experience from US of, I don't know, close to almost 18 years, we have put together very good projects, and the data, of course, which countries will work, which projects will work in which country, which consultants will work, which governments will work, as corruption is the area where I do not put my foot in. So those are all those areas that we're ready. And let me share some of the projects that we are really looking forward to bring down with some of the investors. And we did have some offers with various kingdoms like indigenous nations and other kingdoms from different countries who offered us to get the financing on ground and help us implement our projects. But I'm still waiting to put all the investors, like a pot of investors, global investors, not just give all of our projects to one particular investor and then have to face a monopoly and so on and so forth. That is something I don't cater to. So based on that, let me share some of my heartfelt projects like low cost and affordable housing, because I believe that it's important, it's crucial. It doesn't only provide the shelter, but because the landowners are partner and they're taking 20%, 15 to 20% of the profit from the net profits, we have less risk. The investor has less risk because they don't have to buy the lands throughout Africa and or Asia or some parts, because we already have subcontracts. Similarly, the digital health, and those, by the way, those housing societies will have their own small hospitals, like a medical centers, their own schools, their own recreation activity centers and stuff like that. So I believe that that would be a successful model rather than putting senior citizens in the senior home and orphans into the orphan home. We could unite all of those and make it all work. Similarly, the digital health centers, I think that is crucial, seeing in the humanitarian world for a long time. It's very difficult for a patient in some of the rural areas to get to the hospital. So having the digital health clinic, I think, would be very successful. And yes, it's profitable as well. Similarly, the sustainable tourism, blue economy, I believe we have seen a lot of luxury tourism, but our generations need to work on the sustainable and the blue economy tourism for survival. Not only that, they will learn things, they will learn about the hospitality and the tourism part of it, but they will also learn to face the disasters or survival skills they will build. Next in line is, of course, the space technology, which we know we have a lot of galactic forces around us, which is soon we will find out. So I think it's important that you have some of that technology to teach to our kids, so they get learn to be comfortable around some of those technologies. And the esports is something my son is Asia champion in esports, one of the strategic games called Dota. We need to focus more on those strategic games, not only to unite the global youth, but to unite those youth who are good in strategic planning. You see, they know exactly how to build the cities and how to divide and how to distribute food, water, shelter, everything. So these are some of the skills they would learn from those skills from the esports. Import and export hub, that is very crucial, and that is something I've been saying for a very long time. I know that in past we used to think, or people used to think, or businesses used to think that everything is okay, perfect, we have ships running. But you can see nowadays with the war going on in so many countries, especially the Middle East, businesses or consumers, and Asia, most of those are suffering because of the war. So that is something we could have stopped had we planned better. We could have worked on different routes of import and export trading, especially for the food and water and the necessary things like health equipment, medicines, so on and so forth. So this is something that we should focus on. Mining and natural resources, similarly, we have a lot of companies and organization who wants to work with us for mining, but I'm looking for the right buyers and of course investors, so that we make sure that not only the local mine owner gets the percentage and the government gets of course a percentage, but the local community gets benefit from it too. That is the way I would like to put these mining projects together. Besides that, the health and recreation centers, of course, that's important to do the women retreat, the corporate retreat, uniting youth, like I mentioned earlier, that we need to connect them together, have activities for senior and the youth together, children and the youth together, senior and widow or widowers together, so that we all start finally to live like a family. And yes, I know these are commercial projects and we can still make money out of it. This is not just a social point of view I'm saying, but we just need to be patient. Anyway, for the ROI, I believe, let's say if we have 100%, the way I would divide is 1 to 12% can go for the investor, another 20 to 25% for the landowner. Like I said, in pretty much most of my project, you can say 90% of the project, I prefer that the landowner is one of the partners. So this way we are more secure in the investment. Also, the 1 to 10% can go for international consultants, because those are highly trained from Europe, Asia, Australia, Canada, UK, European Union. It's crucial that we pay them well. 1 to 6% for the local consultants. Of course, they will get the benefit of having the project there, so that will bring down the economic security, the job security, and they will always be there even after the international consultants are gone. So maybe in future they can get paid higher. Also, the 26% for the operation and logistics. The reason I kept it so low is because most of the local consultants are our trained incubators as well. And those incubator people do not come up with very high demands of having 6 to 10% in consultancy fee, because we train them from scratch and they've been with us. So I think that area will cover most part of that. It will release more, basically it will give us more room for net profits. Another way is 16 to 20% will go for UPA, which is our Peace and Prosperity Mission. Like I said, I stopped chasing back in 2018 to go after the international funding due to the corruption element and things that I had to go through. So I decided to use the corporate profit, the net profit, to help set up the peace centers, and the countries or the regions where we cannot or are not interested in setting up the peace centers, we can help the local NGOs who can help provide the food and the shelter and the health and other education facilities to the community. Now, the ROI is divided into 3 phases, just for the investors to understand. Phase 1, $50,000 to $500,000 could get from 7 to 12% ROI. Phase 2, 500,000 to 5 million, can get anywhere between 5 to 8% of ROI. And phase 3, which is 5 million to $1 billion, can get up to from 1 to 8% ROI. And of course, if these partners would like to give the technology and become the project partner, they can get lifetime profits as well. Just besides the ROI, they can also get the profits like a land or a technology or asset partner of the project. I have no problem. Of course, at the end, I would also get 5%. I'm not saying that I will work for free, because the corporate requires a lot of travel, a lot of negotiation, a lot of going to the products, the services, land surveys. It's much more complicated than the humanitarian part. So after doing all that calculation, I realized that 5% net profit from each project would help me, my daughter, and my son, because 3 of us are working for the company. So it's crucial that we have that. So we will take net 5% of that profit. You can see that most of that profit is going to be dispersed for the good purposes, for the community, for the people, for the consultants, so on and so forth. Because I never created these companies to provide luxury for me. I created those companies at the point where I really had no idea what to do next to save humanity or to continue my peace and prosperity mission. So you can say that all of these projects will run with complete transparency, and having the USA corporate registration also helps with the transparency of each transaction, because I know in past I was also offered in many regions the money, $50 million, $100 million, and that was all money laundering money, which I wouldn't take. So having the US accounts will give us the transparency and the good governance on those projects. Last, I would like to invite you to join our alliance groups so that we can move forward now, putting all those dots together. I have done extensive research and planning, have over 500 projects, have so many contracts I can't even keep track anymore. So many good people online, so many companies are ready, so much technology is ready. We are ready to basically go on ground with real projects like industries, small and medium industries. And you guys already know Africa is in a dire need of small and medium industries. Most of the industries were shut down during the revolution time, from what I have learned. And I do have a good repo in the African parliaments around the whole 54 countries, being a total non-corrupt and transparent company owner. So I think you would like working with us. If you like to remain transparent, then yes, you would love working with us. Join our alliance at www.frgoc9.com/alliances. And the alliances you could join are investors, patrons, women, men, youth, sports. I believe there is podcasters, because now I have become a podcaster too for my peace mission, lawyers, and financial advisors. I think together we could really, really make a difference and show how the corporates can work with integrity, total transparency. I hope you have enjoyed the segment of the Media and Alliance Hub, which is the first episode. And you do join us to collaborate in the efforts to live and unite humanity under joy, sharing, kindness, love, light, peace, and prosperity. And always remember, love is the most noble thing in the world. And I wish you all